Do you believe people should have a dream list of delegation?
I think it's absolutely necessary to have that vision. Otherwise, you're forever an employee.
Hate, pain, disaster was not the stimulant of the journey.
My dream job was to be a pediatric oncologist, care of less patients, take better care of them, have more control of my time, and make the same amount of money.
Welcome to Keep Hustling. Welcome to Keep Hustling, where we are going past the why to get to the how. I'm your host, the always hustling Aaron Gordon, aka NY Risk Advisor, aka Mr. #Keep Hustling. In this podcast, we will be diving deep into the professional and personal successes of our guests to find out how they hustled through the most difficult times in their life and their development to achieve the success they've gotten to today. So buckle up for what hopes to be an amazing ride. And of course, now and always, keep hustling. Welcome to Keep Hustling with my guest, Monica McKitterick. Monica, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, it's not every day that I get to talk to someone from Austin, Texas, so we're just going to roll with that and we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to begin where I begin most of the episodes with a question about your upbringing. And I imagine, as I look at your bio, and we're going to get into that, that your dream job was different when you finished your upbringing, right? And then an evolution happened. So I never get to ask the second part of the question. The first part of the question is, what formed you to have that dream job? That's easy, right? The original view of success.
Mhm.
But I'd also like to ask you, what do you think was instilled in you from a young age or through your experiences when you were younger that led you to have the ability, the fortitude, and the strength to make that pivot?
Ooh, this is deep. We're going
We
deep
start.
right
We
out. I
go
like it.
deep. We don't mess around here.
I like it. So my dream job as a kid in high school was to be a pediatric oncologist. That's a cancer doctor for kids, in case anybody doesn't know.
I've had one on the
And
pod. We've had
yeah,
one on this podcast.
I'm here to tell you that is my absolute disaster job, turns out. But I thought it was my dream job because it sounded really good. My entire childhood, I spent trying to earn people's love, basically. I was a pretty overweight kid. I did all the things though, but my parents had a terrible relationship. They really should have not been married ever. And so I would do anything I could to keep the peace in my house. And I did that by being the best student, being the best daughter, being the best sister, being the best all the things so that I could just keep the calm. And so my idea of success as a kid was things that would make other people say, wow, that's awesome. And so I went to college as a biomedical engineering pre-med major. I don't even know what those words mean,
For
but it
those not
sounded
watching,
good.
I just vomited a little bit. But anyway, sorry, we
Yeah,
digress.
right? Because that's how I thought success was I could use big words, I could sound really smart, and that was success. Let's just say I didn't make it in that world because I quickly realized that to go to med school means you have to study for 8 to 12 hours a day. And that is not my personality. I can't. And so I changed my major to nursing with the intent that I could still go to medical school if I wanted to. I'd always liked to take care of people. That was always me. So my dream job quickly changed from being a physician to being a nurse. And yeah, I went along with that. And then it was actually a professor who came to me my senior year and said, "You should go to graduate school and be a nurse practitioner." And I laughed in her face. I said, "First of all, I've been in school for like 16 years at this point. No, I'm done. And second of all, I don't even know what a nurse practitioner is. So no, I'm done." She was like, "But someone will pay for it." I was like, "Oh, wait, maybe we should talk." So that led me down the road to being a nurse practitioner, which I thought was also my dream job and has been. I have been a nurse practitioner for 17 years. But what I didn't realize is that taking care of people is very exhausting. And so I enjoy it. I still enjoy it. I actually don't see patients anymore because now my dream job is running a business and it's amazing. And if you had asked me 7 years ago if that was my dream job, I would have said, absolutely not. I have zero intentions of ever opening my own business. And here I am doing it.
So I have a lot of follow-up questions, but I want to stick to the second part of my first of my opening question, and that is there is something there in the ability to pivot and the desire to pivot and the desire, like how many people, nurse, medical field or not, want to do something else, may even, by the way, not hate seeing patients, right? It wasn't, you didn't
Right.
hate seeing patients the way you
No,
hated
no, no.
studying for medicals, right? But
Mm-mm.
this is more of a calling for me. I feel like this is my next step and didn't sit within the complacency, for lack of a better term. Not, by the way, not misery. I've had people on this podcast that were miserable and that was the force to change.
Mhm.
When I think about this conversation, what you're saying, and I thought this is where it was going to go, but it was solidified by your previous answer. Hate, pain, disaster was not the stimulant of the journey. So what, how, why? Most people would say you're
Yeah.
crazy. You have a great job. You don't hate it. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
you're seeing patients, you're helping people. What are you doing?
Absolutely. I walked away from steady six figures to open a practice all by myself. Um, I will tell you, I had a very toxic CEO that I worked for quite some time. And that was somewhat of a stimulant to me changing what I want to do. But ultimately, it was the fact that I was 35 and I love primary care. And it was so exhausting that there was no way I could keep it up. And so I had to find an alternative to not continuing to burn my candle in both ends because I couldn't be a great nurse practitioner and a great mom and a great wife and all the other things, sister, mom, friend, and continue to function. And that's what I do. I am a 3 on the Enneagram. I do not fail. And so I have to be the best at all the things. And so I had to find some way to do it. But I'll also tell you, I had a really great support system in my husband that would allow me to make that jump without fear of losing my house or losing my car or my livelihood. Um, but I would say it was 10 years of grinding it out with insurance-based healthcare that was really my driving force of, I can't do this. I got to do something else.
I love that answer. And I love the fact that there's a few things there. And, you know, marriage and relationships are a lost art in 2025 going into 2026. But the value of that support system is huge. And the
Oh,
value of the
absolutely.
team approach, meaning something tells me that if you guys sat down, had the conversation, and the answer was, sounds great one day, but like right now, Monica's got to grind a little more. Monica's grinding for the sake of rowing the ship. And I think that in life, there are different seasons. And the greatest thing that can help inspire someone's hustle is the ability to have the open and honest conversations, knowing what's short term and what's long term. I would be remiss if I didn't make a comment about something that you said, and this is off topic from Keep Hustling, but I do think that it is important to mention. And that is politics aside, really politics aside, something has to change in this country with primary care because you have to be absolutely out of your mind to be any sort of primary care physician or ancillary provider.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't be that way. I am the proud father of 5 children. And after my wife and my mother and probably my family, but really probably in the same range, my kid's pediatrician is like a super important figure in my kid's life. And I don't know how he does it. I think if he had to do it again today, start over today, he probably wouldn't. Um, and forgetting about insurance costs and politics and all the things like that, you know,
Mhm.
we're in the medical professional liability field. We do all that kind of stuff. But I couldn't allow your comment of insurance-based primary care to slide by without me saying that I agree and something needs to change.
Mhm.
You mentioned a few other things in there that this is fun. We're having fun today. I didn't forget my Diet Coke. We're gonna have fun today. The balance, all the things you had to do all the things you wanted to balance, and yet you decided to go from the steady job to entrepreneurship. Hello,
Sounds crazy, right?
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, take us through that, or the thought process, or maybe some of the fears, or the evolution of that. Because, again, most people would say when you have kids and you want to be a mom, and probably I would guess based on just some of the things you said, like an active mom, right? Your kids are not off in college, and you get to figure out what you want to do to fill your days.
Not yet.
Like, so now I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Most people would say entrepreneurship is more stressful than nurse practitionership, no matter
Mhm.
how long the shift is. In terms of
Absolutely.
stress, in terms of brain cells, in terms of bandwidth.
Mhm.
Yet you're saying the opposite.
Yeah. Let's just say I didn't know what I didn't know at the time, right? So my plan was to open a practice that is membership based, not insurance dependent. And so the idea came to me from a Facebook ad that said primary care physician takes home $400,000 a year and is home in time for dinner. And that clickbait worked like a charm, my friend. And I was like, that's insane. Like, that's not real life.
In New York City or
First,
in Austin, Texas?
uh, well, I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico at the time, but yeah. By the way, I don't make $400,000 a year right now. Maybe someday, but
You're not always home in time for dinner, you're saying.
I am always home in time for dinner.
But therefore, you're
And
not making the 400,000 is my point. Meaning those two things are
well,
not.
I mean, I could if I wanted to, but I'm also not motivated by money. I'm motivated by my time. So I would much rather be home in time for dinner than take home $400,000 a year. But that came with the model of healthcare that I was going to start. It was a model that has proven, or was trying to be proven, where I could take care of less patients, take better care of them, have more control of my time, and make the same amount of money. And so it wasn't that I was going to go open my own insurance-based practice and continue to be dictated by the rules and regulations of insurance companies. I was completely flipping the model. So now we only do cash pay. We don't take any insurance. We get to treat patients like real human beings. And so I was kind of just betting on myself that I could do it, but it sounded awesome because it was going to let me do what I love, and that's create relationships with my patients and really take care of them and not just push drugs on them all day long, because that's not what I went to school for ever to do. And so, yeah, it was a little crazy to think that I could go do this and be all of these things. Um, but I did, and I have, and I have more time and more freedom in my life than I've ever had.
Sidebar, number one, life balance, juggling a billion different things, but still being sane. Hack. Give us the hack.
Delegation, key to life, and making sure that you're not trying to be the best at everything, right? You don't have to
But
learn
you
how
just
to
said, one
be.
second, you said 3 on the whatever scale have to be the best at everything. You said that earlier.
I did. Well, you can try to be the best at everything, but that's not real life. But
Take us there. Take us there.
so you don't have to learn how to be the best web designer and the best photographer and the best graphic designer and the best marketer. There are people that are good at those things. Now, obviously you bootstrap it from the beginning, and I did. Like, I wore every single hat in my office. I was the medical assistant, I was the janitor, I was the accountant, I was all of the things. But you quickly have to realize that you can't do all of those things and delegate them out. And now I delegate all of the things that I do. And it's taken time. Like, I've been in business for 6.5 years. So I didn't just like flip a switch, but I also, because I wore all those hats, I knew what was going on and I had control of it. And so I really had to look at what was the most important. Was talking to patients the most important, or was cleaning the toilet the most important, right? You got to play those games.
Do you believe in that in personal and professional life, that people should have a dream list of delegation? Meaning, right now, because I'm an entrepreneur, I have to clean the toilets. Or right now, after my kids go to sleep, because I'm a little tight on money, my business is just starting, I am folding the laundry, but maybe one day I could hire someone for that. So do you believe that the key to the long-term vision, what you saw, is partially saying, like, these are the things that I never want to get rid of, and these are the things that if a boatload of money just dropped in my lap tomorrow, I never want to take out the garbage again, which is a silly example, but like, I never want to fill my car. So if there was a way for me to on demand pay an extra dollar per gallon and have someone come to my house, which they do, I would do that. Like, do you believe that someone should have that vision?
I think it's absolutely necessary to have that vision. Otherwise, you're forever an employee, right? Unless you start delegating things out, you are forever just an employee. You might be a higher paid employee than you were in the other world, but otherwise you're just an employee. You don't really become an entrepreneur until you start delegating the tasks, especially the ones you don't want to do, like cleaning the toilet and checking the fax inbox and creating social media posts. Like if that's not what fills your cup and what really makes you happy, then you absolutely need to delegate that. I'm currently reading the book Buy Back Your Time. If you haven't read it, it's a really great one. It's all about delegating and how you become a person that builds a legacy versus an employer.
Right. But I think that, and I think the important point is knowing that from the beginning versus thinking you could do it
100%.
all yourself and then trying to figure out the delegation. Is it right? Again, everybody who starts a business in their basement realizes that they have to do it all 100%.
Absolutely.
But
Mhm.
as you're building the processes, and I think this is very important for the entire listenership, as you're building the processes, you could figure out what along the way you'd like to get rid of, and therefore then you would build a process different than if you know, hey, by the way, it doesn't bother me. I pass a store every day on the way to the office, therefore I don't mind picking up the milk. Like
Mhm.
that's a silly example, but it's like that's a thing that someone has to do, and that takes time, and that takes money, that takes effort. So I think that's important. I want to just pivot just for a second,
Mhm.
or maybe more than a second, and that is we discussed a little bit about motherhood and being home for dinner, but
Mhm.
I work for and with um, probably the most awesomest. I know that wasn't English, and therefore, if she's listening, she's gonna be upset at me. Um, hustler, entrepreneur woman, and that's my mother who runs our business. And she was. We often get to hear about the fact that when she was coming up in this business, it was a very heavily male-dominated business at the top in management.
Mhm.
I imagine that healthcare practices are the same. I
Absolutely.
imagine that being a nurse/nurse practitioner, which is a heavily female-dominated part of the medical field,
Mhm.
is looked at, quote unquote, as not the top of the practice, right? And the physician is the top of the food chain. You're changing that, so I want to hear about that. Like,
Mhm.
what was it like to try to do that? What is it like to convince people, yourself, the world, and I presume a lot of people who are naysayers, like this is going to work?
Yeah, I had to believe in myself. And nurse practitioners, first of all, our name is dumb. Like we should have come up with a better name because a lot of people don't understand that we can diagnose, we can prescribe, we can treat just as our counterparts physicians can. Our background is very different. Our schooling is very different. I am not saying I am a physician. I could never be one. I just told you I couldn't go to medical school because I'm not going to study that long. And so they all have their place and time. And nurse practitioners were really meant to be in the primary care space. And that job came about because there weren't enough physicians to fill the primary care space. And so I feel like I am exactly where I belong. And when people say, what's the difference between a nurse practitioner and a doctor? The best thing I can come up with is that nurses are taught to treat people and doctors are taught to treat diseases. And there's a big difference in how you approach a patient. Not to say one is better than the other, but oftentimes patients have a preference. And as much as, yes, physicians are at the top of the totem pole when it comes to a medical degree, that doesn't necessarily mean everyone wants to see them because a lot of physicians, unfortunately, have been tagged as cold. They don't listen. They just rush you through things. Now, a lot of that is the system, and it's not all physicians. Just like there's crappy nurse practitioners, there's crappy doctors out there. And so the beauty of my office is that it is 100% the free market. Nobody walks in my front door because their insurance company told them to, because their mom told them. They come because they chose to come. And so patients come to my office because they want to see a nurse practitioner. Some prefer to see a nurse practitioner, but ultimately it's because they see our faces and they connect with us and they understand us and we build relationships with them. Whether you have MD, NP, PA, DO after your name, I don't care. I just want to know that you are here to take care of me. And so that's really the message that we explain to people is it's not about your credentials, it's about your ability to talk and educate patients. And ultimately, I think the most important thing is your ability to know your limitations. If you see a medical provider who thinks they know everything, you should run the other way. It's the medical provider who says, you know what? I don't know much about that. Let me research it, or let me talk to Dr. So and so who does know these sorts of things. I think that's really what makes good healthcare providers. And really, it's all a matter of educating people on that.
First of all, I love that. There's so much to unpack there. And I think that the fact that you are saying, which I think is 100% true in the healthcare system, that being a nurse practitioner has built-in limitations. And I mean that in the best, most respectful possible way. That means that someone doesn't think that they're getting less because they can't be getting less. And by the way, I think that nurse practitioner is a stupid name. I also think PA is a stupid name because
Agree.
if PA is great if they were actually physician's assistants, but when
Not
that's
there.
the only person you see in the physician's office, they're not the physician's assistant. They're actually a physician light or something. But it doesn't matter. That's
Mhm.
not. I have a feeling you and I are not going to solve that today on the Keep Hustling podcast.
Unfortunately, no. I
But I
wish.
think that the irony is that because you take that approach and because you've zeroed in on the way you want to do it, you probably help physicians who you, I assume, refer to sometimes see their ideal patient. And you get to
Absolutely.
see your ideal patient. So you get to see your ideal patient and provide the ideal care that you want. And then when there's a neurological issue that you can't solve and you send to the neurologist, you've triaged, supported, and provided all that. And now they don't have to worry about the primary care side, quote unquote, of that.
Mhm.
I do want to challenge you on one point that you made, and I hope it's okay. I'm from New York. I can challenge, and you're on my
Yeah.
podcast, so whatever. You said you went into this business because it's dependent on the free market, and therefore you're able to provide better care to people because it's the care that they choose.
Mhm.
What about the people that can't afford concierge medicine?
Well, our membership is very affordable, is really where it boils down to. So our memberships are $79 a month, and that gives you unlimited care. Now, I realize that for some people that doesn't work, right? Like some people just don't have $79 a month. But I'm also going to tell you, if your health is important, you can probably find $79 a month in your monthly fees. And when you look at how much you're paying for health insurance, it's a drop in the bucket compared to that.
Right, but people can't get rid of. They still need. They presumably you would say that people still need catastrophic coverage because you don't, unless you have a hospital that's covered under $79 a month.
Ideally, yes. So if I had my magic wand, all of my patients would either have a high deductible plan, a health share, or some form of catastrophic coverage. Because there is a time and a place where I can't fix your broken leg, right? But if you are an individual that has to choose either all your primary care or just emergent care, I'm going to tell you, you need primary care all day long because our job is to keep you out of the ER. We're going to prevent the heart attack. We're going to check and make sure you don't get breast cancer before it all happens, right? And so I think people have to pick and choose, right? Is our model for everyone? No, but I will tell you, majority of our patients live at or around the poverty line, make just enough money where they don't qualify for Medicaid, but they can't afford any other insurance form. Um, More than 65% of our patients are uninsured. And so I think we are actually filling a gap for that place where people can't afford health insurance. And even when people have high deductible plans, they choose not to go to the doctor because they don't know how much it's going to cost. They don't know who to call. They don't know who they're going to see. They don't trust the person on the other end. And so then they just avoid getting their preventative care. Or they wait and wait and wait until their symptoms are so bad that they end up in the ER in surgery or God knows what. Where if they just had somebody that they trusted that they could call and know that it's not going to cost them anything more, they can come in free of charge, they can do a telehealth visit, they can text us directly. People will actually get the care that will prevent them from needing that catastrophic care. Now, there are people that have diseases that have really expensive medications, they have to see extensive specialists. That is not our cup of tea. Now, we can still manage your primary care. And so there is a line where it's like, okay, these people can't afford us at all. And we do offer scholarships through our office for some of those people. Obviously, we can't take care of the whole world, but I will tell you, we are taking care of the uninsured significantly better than the rest of this country.
That is shocking. You win. Shocking.
Yeah.
What do the next 5 years look like?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I have 3 office locations, and we will max them out with patients probably in the next 2 years based off of our other growth. Um, I quickly realized that every clinic I open takes more of me, and more of me I'm not willing to give because I'm all about my time. And so I don't plan to open any more clinics. We will fill the clinics we have now, and we will continue to do that. But I did need to figure out how I'm going to change the world, because just having 3 clinics isn't going to change enough. And so what I need to do is get other healthcare providers who also love primary care and are done with this insurance-based world to also open a direct primary care office, just like me. And so I wrote a book and I released an online course, and I do consulting with other healthcare providers looking to change their lives like I did mine. And so that's what my next 5 years are going to do, is getting the rest of the world to know what direct primary care is, so that it becomes the norm and not the exception. So that when you say, oh yeah, I went to see my direct primary care provider, people are like, oh yeah, of course, that's who you saw, because everyone has one, instead of, oh, what does that mean? So it's all about education at this point, which is why I'm sitting here with you today.
I think that's great. I thought it was because you just love the New York risk, keep hustling mentality.
I mean, I do,
There we go. Okay, cool.
but yeah.
So I want to just touch on your book and on your course just for a second, as we get ready to wrap up here, and that is, what is the number one thing that those who are not in the healthcare field can learn, or should focus on, that they may not be focusing on now, besides delegating? Because that's what you said before.
As an entrepreneur,
Yes.
I mean, wow, that's a lot. The number one thing they should focus on as an entrepreneur that is not delegation.
Let me give you one, and you tell me if you like this, okay? Because this is what I was thinking about when you were
Okay.
talking the whole time about what you do.
Mhm.
The long-term preventative aspect of your practice is so incredibly valuable, and I think that nobody sees that. Meaning,
Absolutely.
if I'm spending $79 a month, then when something starts creeping up, or when I start feeling not as great, or when my diet slips, I'm probably going to call you, because I'm stuck anyway. It's a SaaS business. I'm paying the subscription, unless I view it as Netflix, but it's an expensive Netflix. It's $79 a month,
Mhm.
which then leads to the more optimized physical and mental space, which then leads to the more optimized life, professional entrepreneurship, and hustle. And I think that health is so, and I've learned so much on this podcast about health, that health is so tied to business success,
Yeah.
that what I would say, and I hope you just say, yeah, okay, this is what I was thinking, or maybe that's right, and I didn't think of it, is focus on your health, right? Meaning,
Mhm.
if your goal is that everybody should know about direct primary care, right? Individual primary care, then if everybody had it, then everyone would be healthier. And if everyone was healthier, again, you cannot prevent diseases that cannot be prevented.
Right.
But
Most can, though.
the average person in the US
Mhm.
dies because of shrinking muscle mass as they age. And if they would just eat
Yeah.
healthy and exercise, we could prevent
Yeah. I will tell you,
at age 70.
I will live and die on the 4 things that I think are the absolute most pivotal to everyone's health. Are you ready
Let's
for
go.
them? Nutrition. You put shit in, you're gonna get shit out. Sorry, am I allowed to say that
That's
word?
fine. You could say that's fine. You're
Yeah.
good.
Nutrition, body movement. Notice I did not say exercise. I just need you to move your body. 30 minutes a day. Touching your toes counts. Just move your body. Number 3, sleep. Go to bed. There are so many people like, oh, I do best on 4 hours of sleep. You're lying. You're lying
You
to
could
yourself.
survive on 4 hours of sleep, but
No,
you do much
you will
better
not
on 7.
thrive. 7 to 9, that is the minimum. And I'm not talking like in bed for 7 hours. I'm talking sleeping for 7 hours. This is when your body regenerates all of its hormones, all of its cells. If you don't sleep, you are going to be miserable. I don't care who you are, you're going to be miserable. And the 4th thing, stress. 80% of our healthcare issues, chronic healthcare diseases in this country, are caused by chronic stress. Americans are the worst because we have to be bigger, we have to be faster, we have to grow stronger, we have to make more money. We all set goals that are revenue based. Yeah, stop it. Calm down. Take a deep breath. It'll all be okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
I love that. I will listen to that
Okay.
again.
That was my mom voice. Did
There
you
we
get
go.
it?
Yeah. Yowza. So tell your kids to call me. The As you know, we have a close. That was awesome. We have a close tradition on this podcast where we ask our guests to leave us with their favorite motivational and inspirational quote and what it means to them in their hustle and their overall growth. So with that, I'll say thanks again, Monica, for being here, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for having me. And my number one thing that I try to live by, and I'm still learning it every single day because it's so hard for me, is that someone else's opinion of you is none of your business. And you just need to focus on you all day long. That quote is straight from Rachel Hollis. She's a lovely author and podcaster. And it is something I try to live by every day because for so much of my life, I have based my definition of success on what I thought everyone else thinks I should be doing. And that has nothing to do with your success. It's all about what you think is important. So stop caring what other people think about you.
I love that. This has been another episode of Keep Hustling. Remember, do well by doing good. And of course, and always, keep hustling. All right, hustlers, that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode. Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. If you have any suggestions, comments, or even just want to say hello, please feel free to reach out to us on all social media platforms. We are Keep Hustling Pod. Until next time, stay curious, stay hungry, and keep hustling.